What is going on, guys? We are finally live. Sorry for the late start. Me and Jazz were just having a little quick chat about some stuff. That's right. I'm Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, and I am with, as always, the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, Jez?
I've got a bit of a cold, but hello everyone. And oh no, we're doing an echo.
Oh, I hear myself. Oh my God.
Sorry,
Is
sorry
that
about
what I sound like? Oh my
that.
God.
Great start there. As I was saying, I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologize in advance for that. But yeah, I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Just enjoying video games and the everything that it has to offer. Uh, Although some things I don't enjoy, like these loot boxes. Oh boy,
Oh, you don't
oh
you
boy.
don't like loot boxes? I love them personally. I
Well, I
think
mean, yeah, you've spent
all
like five
games
hundred
should have
dollars on loot
50,000.
boxes.
Yeah. I think they should just release a game that all you do is open loot boxes. That'd be amazing. The first dev that does that is going to make so much money.
Open this loot box, get a 1,000 gamer score. You win.
And you just get a middle finger emoji in some of the crates. That'd be great.
That
I
would
might
be
make it.
that would be amazing. Um, so this is going to be episode 27. Yeah, I know. Last week I said it was episode 27, and I was wrong. It was episode 26. This is 27 on October 11th, Wednesday, the day of Xbox 2. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about loot boxes, obviously, since this year seems to be the year every single game wants to put this gambling mechanic in their games, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Xbox One X might having supply issues for people who didn't pre-order. I don't know if you saw that kind of news from MCV in the
Yeah,
UK, Jazz.
yeah, I saw something about that.
Which is why you should, if you really want the system, you should have probably pre-ordered. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about these Xbox One holiday bundles. Not, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I think I have another one in the topic, but I'm not really sure what I wrote down half an hour ago. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. So let's just move right into games because that's why we're here. We're here about the games.
Games are good. I like games.
So do I. And as usually, I'll start with Jez on this. And I already know the game that Jez has been playing because he was on Twitter being like, nobody wants to hear my opinion about Shadow of War, but I'm going to give it anyways. So he's been playing
voice,
Shadow of War.
in that voice.
Well, whatever, you know.
Right. Well, indeed, I've been playing nothing but Shadow of War recently. And you know what, Rand?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
But the internet told me the internet told me that it has loot boxes, so it has to be bad.
Yeah, that's what the internet told me too, and that's what I've been telling other people too, that it's bad because of loot boxes. But it turns out that Monolith, well, I don't know if this is the case throughout the whole game, and I haven't read any reviews myself, so I don't know what the latest is. But at least at this point in the game, I'm about 12 hours in, maybe more. The loot boxes are useless. They are absolutely useless.
You
And
know
it's
what's
like,
not useless though, Jez? Really quickly, is the Analog Circle podcast super chatting $5 and saying "Stay great." That is not useless. That is amazing.
oh, that was
So
nice.
shout out to the Analog Circle podcast. But the loot boxes, so they're useless in the game. So people overreacted.
Well, well, that's the thing. I still don't think people overreacted because there will come a day when they're not useless and they are gameplay modifying to the point where it will be hard to play without them. It's another step along the way to full microtransaction hell. That's that's worthy of outrage still. Even though the microtransactions in Shadow of War are completely useless. I almost feel like Monolith went out of their way to make the loot crates useless. Even the free ones you get are useless and don't help you. The loot you get from playing the game is better than the loot you get from, paying for crates and that sort of stuff. It's shocking how useless they are. Sorry, but the thing is, I've also heard that to get the quote unquote true ending, you have to basically clear all the strongholds, clear everything. And at that point, the game becomes a bit of a grind. And some people have interpreted that to mean that, yes, they've put that in to try and incentivize people who got really into the game to pony up some extra cash before they quit or something. But I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't gotten to that point yet, so I can't really comment on it. But if the game does start feeling like it's overly grindy without paying, then I will be really pissed and it'll affect my review score.
You
But
know,
right
I did
now, it
see
doesn't.
I did see some people say that, but they did say that if you drop the difficulty to easy, like it like totally negates like any sort of like need to get the grind.
All right.
You
Yeah, I
know,
think the grind would come in where you have to kill like high level orcs, and if you don't have high level orcs of your own, then it's going to be harder to fight them and raid them and all that sort of stuff. So maybe then it'd be like, oh, I better purchase some extra crates to make this go a bit quicker. But I mean, I've been rushing. I've been rushing the game as well because I'm trying to review it as fast as possible because Warner Brothers don't like me and they didn't give me early access to the game. So I've been basically rushing through the whole thing, and I haven't been getting optimal gear. I haven't been doing side quests and all that sort of stuff. I've just been rushing through it, and still I've found no reason to even consider buying a loot crate or even opening the free loot crates I've got. It's pointless. They're pointless. So on the one hand, fair play to Monolith for making them so pointless, but on the other hand, screw you, Warner Brothers, for taking another step towards this horrible situation that one day there will be $60 games that do pretty much want you to be paying extra money because that's where they want it to go. That's where the
yeah, and
publishers want it to go.
we're gonna have a dedicated discussion topic about loot boxes in
Yeah.
general later on in the show. But I mean, you did say, I mean, you are enjoying the game, right? It's a good game. It's a quality game.
Yeah,
Uh,
the gameplay is great. The story delivery is amazing. Like the cinematics are absolutely stunning, gorgeous, Hollywood level voice acting and all that sort of stuff. Really
so
impressive.
I would love this game, is what you're saying. I'm a huge
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings fan, by the way, and I love the first game.
Lord of the Rings fans will adore this game. Like even the stuff like the little lore items you find, the collectibles, and it gives you extra lore about the game's world and I haven't heard. I've got to have killed over 100 captains at this point, procedurally generated or captains, and I haven't heard the same dialogue twice. Every single orc has had something different to say so far, which is just
Are you
amazing.
surprised that no other company has kind of taken a riff on the Nemesis system?
I mean, on the one hand, I am, but on the other hand, it seems like a lot of hard work, and
Oh,
also
and,
a
you know,
lot of
the developers don't like hard work.
well, it's like it's voice work. I think is the big deal because like, isn't half of the game's file size voice work or something? I read like a huge amount of it's voice work in any case. Ah,
Um,
yeah,
I mean, I know like a huge lot of it depends on if it has like English, like French, Japanese, like all that kind of stuff, like kind of inflates the file size or whatever.
I get you. Well, but even still, it's a huge amount of voice work, and it's impressive how much voice work there is, and it makes the game more immersive, more believable. It makes it makes the Nemesis system just a lot of fun, and it's just like I want to find out what kind of orc this dude is, and they even have contextual sentences. Like if I'm riding a beast, they'll comment on it, and it's really really interesting. And it's like, wow, I can't believe how much work's gone into this. So on that level, A plus. But yeah, microtransactions.
So my dilemma is I have the game as well. Haven't
Right.
started it yet because I've been a little bit busy on some stuff. I was thinking about starting it today, playing it, today, Thursday, Friday,
Mm.
finishing it up on the weekend if I had to. But it's like, do I want to save this for the X? And
I
you said
yeah,
yes. You said don't play it.
I would
Wait for
save
the
this for
X.
this because it's not a very it's a very like they kind of did what Ghost Recon Wildlands did. They've sacrificed resolution for draw distance, I think, and as a result, the textures are blurry. It looks pretty ugly actually up close, and there's a lot of slow motion in the game as well, which just accentuates it. When you're in slow motion, you can really see like the low res textures, and it's like, ugh, that is ugly, you know. So I think I would suggest to anyone wait for the X, because obviously the X is going to have the 4K resolution, the high res textures. There is a high res texture pack coming for this game too, so I would wait for the X version. It runs really well on the Xbox One. It's just ugly.
Yeah, it's just I was thinking, I was like, all right, if I blow through Mordor or Shadow of War, like I'll be done. Next week is South Park, which I have to play right away. Like I'm playing South Park right away, right? I'm done with that. Then you have Assassin's Creed and Wolfenstein. Like I want to play Wolfenstein right away. Obviously, I can't play Assassin's Creed. Call of Duty. I'm really interested in the single player for that. And by that, I'll be done with all those games, and then the X will be here, and it's like, by the way, here's the games you have to play for the X. Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed, and maybe Assassin's Creed. But it's like, if I kind of maybe push Mordor to then, you know, like I'm like, do I play it now or do I wait and play it then? You know.
See, a lot of these games I'd wait for the X as well. I've played Assassin's Creed Origins on the X. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Like honestly, it's the best game. Looks wise, it's the best game I've ever seen. Assassin's Creed Origins on the Xbox One X, and also Wolfenstein has the best use of HDR I've ever seen in a game.
I like how you said that HDR.
Yeah, like laser weapons and destructible environments that react to the laser weapons and melt, and they're all bright and stuff. It's like, it's stunning, man. It's absolutely stunning. But I think you might be able to get HDR on the Xbox One S version, though, come to think of it. So I don't know, man. All these games are going to look better on the X. Everything is.
Yeah. I mean, you know, day one, of course, is like Disneyland Adventures and Zoo Tycoon and the Pixar Rush game. You know, kidding though. I mean, kidding. I played like 2 of those games, by the way.
Zoo Tycoon's pretty good.
Zoo Tycoon's not a bad game. It's actually a fun game. You can actually play that game in co-op. I played it on when it originally came out. It's a cool game.
And they removed the build limit on the.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's fun to pick up poo with friends.
What?
Not really. Yeah, you pick up poo in that game. There's an achievement for picking up poo. Uh-huh.
That is, well, I suppose you have to do that in a zoo. I guess.
I suppose you do, and it's like when you pick it up, it's like little confetti explodes everywhere. But yeah, I mean, because I was thinking like, okay, well, if I don't do Shadow of War this week, I could play like God of War 3 on the PlayStation, or I could play like Nier Automata or Horizon Zero Dawn or something.
Play Nier Automata.
You know, Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Because it's like I want to save something, like because I roll through games fast. You know, people know this. Like I get a game, I blow through that stuff, and it's like, well, I could move Mordor, but then I could also play something else, like one of the PlayStation games I have in my backlog. You know, because I want to play at least Horizon and Nier Automata this year, because I want to include those games in my game of the year discussion, right? Now that I have a PlayStation, so it's like, you know, like I really want to play Mordor because I am a gigantic Middle Earth fan. And have I ever told you how many times I saw Fellowship of the Ring in the theater?
No,
we never had this discussion.
Hit me.
I saw Fellowship of the Ring in the theater 15 times.
Woo. Why?
I was so emotionally affected by that movie that like I took everybody I literally knew to go see it. Like I saw it with my other Lord of the Rings friends. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Deal with it. I took them to go see when we went to like opening night, right? And then I was just like amazed by what I saw. And then like I took my dad to see it. I took my mom to see it. I took my sisters to see it. I took my other friends who like I took everybody I knew to go see that stuff on. Like I literally saw that movie 15 times. I saw The Two Towers like 6 times, and I ended up seeing like Return of the King like 3 times. So
Woo.
I love me some Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is pretty awesome. I, I mean, this is slightly off topic, but at my school, it was like this big argument about whether Lord of the Rings was better than The Matrix or not.
Hmm.
I was
Interesting,
upset.
interesting. Because I've seen The Matrix like 5 times at the show too. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I'd go Lord of the Rings over The Matrix for
I think
sure.
Lord of the Rings has an epic universe, and I think it's great that Monolith, like, I mean, when you disregard all this BS about the microtransactions and stuff, it's really great how faithful Monolith have been recreating the universe and staying faithful for the most part with the lore and all that sort of stuff. And seeing Gollum come back and characters like Shelob,
No
which
spoilers. God, I don't want spoilers.
these aren't spoilers. They're in trailers, man.
Gollum and Shelob, who for whatever reason they decide to turn into a chick in this movie.
Chick in the book.
No, she's a freaking spider. I mean, she doesn't turn into a chick.
So have they played fast and loose with the lore there? Because I thought
Yes,
that
they
was.
have played completely fast and loose with the lore of Lord of the Rings.
Well, didn't they have to get this approved by the Tolkien estate or something?
No, because I think there's some way around. I think the Tolkien estate had sold some of the licenses to somebody else, so they had to get it approved from them. But they're like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if Sheila was a chick? Like no, she's a spider. Like she's not a. Anyways.
Okay. Okay,
Uh,
maybe not then. Are you triggered
yeah.
by this? She loved the chick.
I mean, look, I'll play the game for what it is, but like I remember seeing the trailers and I was like, why did they turn Sheila into a woman? And then they're like, I remember
Is there any explanation for this?
they said like, oh, in Token's thing, like there's like a line that says this, and we were like, oh man, like no, like they just kind of they played fast and loose with the story. So, anyways, anything else besides Shadow of War you've been rocking?
No, not really. I've been trying to finish off the Cuphead bosses I haven't killed yet, here and there, but
Cuphead.
Mostly just Shadow of War.
Interesting.
No. There was something else.
Jazz
I played tons. The Battlefront beta.
Oh,
Obviously.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, the beta.
Yes, another microtransaction game.
Oh boy. So how'd you think about that?
Well, okay. That kind of went something like this. It was like, oh my god, I love this game. Oh my, like Friday and Saturday, I was just like so hyped and just loving it. I was smashing people, playing like all the different modes, and I was just loving it, man. I was loving it. And then I realized that the microtransactions and the loot crates affect progression more than playing the game. And on Sunday, I was like righteously indignant and pretty sad about it. Yeah, so I've gone through the full range of emotions with that game.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that stuff. But, I mean, how's the game look? Does it look amazing?
It looks... I mean, it's blurry on Xbox One.
See, blurry?
Is
it a blurry 720p, Jez? Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I don't know, man. It is blurry.
I hear it also doesn't run very well.
No, it ran really well for me. I didn't have any hitches or anything like that. No lag on my end, anyway. It ran really well, 60 frames per second, but man, it was blurry. It was about as blurry as the first game, just Blur City. There's a lot going on, loads of pigeons and leaves blowing around, and lots of players running around and that sort of stuff. But it's always confusing to me, like, why did Battlefront 1 look blurry? Then Battlefield 2, Battlefront 1 looked blurry. Looked really good. Maybe a little blurry in the distance, but it was much higher resolution. But now Battlefront 2 looks blurry again. It's like, why can the Battlefield team get a good resolution on Xbox, but not the Battlefront team? It's a bit weird. But in any case, it looked, the art direction was good, even though the engine was really struggling on the Xbox One. And but the big issue with that game was the micropayments. Like when I was playing it, I noticed that certain classes were higher level than others, and I thought others that I hadn't even played. Like I'd never played Han Solo before, and he was like my highest level hero. I hadn't played an officer before, which is kind of like an engineer, you can spawn turrets and stuff. And he was higher level than my assault and my heavy, which I had been playing. And I was like, oh, that's a weird bug. It's showing those characters as higher level than the ones I have been playing. But it wasn't a bug rand. It was just that I had more random cards for those characters than I did my mains. So you can't progress by playing. You have to progress by relying on the luck of the stupid loot crates, which is awful. It's terrible. It's the worst design in the history of the universe. So I was pretty pissed about it. I wrote about it on Windows Central on Sunday or Monday, and the Reddit subreddit Battlefront subreddit was up in arms about it. DICE doesn't seem to have responded yet, so, and I think the beta's only just ended today, so I'm guessing they'll take in a bunch of feedback and decide what they're going to do with it. But man, those micropayments are very aggressive and kind of screws with the progression of systems of the game, and it's a shame because the underlying game seems awesome. So I was pretty pissed.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for you, right? Like just Shadow of War, some Star Wars 2, Battlefront stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Any plans on playing Evil Within 2 on Friday?
Yes, I am going to be playing. It's my birthday on Friday.
Oh, make sure everybody wish Jazz a happy birthday on Friday.
Yeah, Plix. And for my birthday, we're gonna go and drink a lot of booze, and then we're gonna play The Evil Within. I'll get my friend's girlfriend to play The Evil Within, so that should be funny.
Right.
Might stream it because I'm too scared to play it myself, so I'll get her to play it.
So
just watch.
I put up a video for Danger Zone. Have you heard about this game, Jazz?
Now isn't that by the same dev as Dangerous Golf?
Yes. 3 Fields Entertainment, who used to a lot of them used to work for Criterion. And this game is basically Crash Mode from Burnout Paradise. You know, with the car.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you use a car and you basically cause destruction in an intersection with a whole bunch of other cars, and you blow your car up because you get these power-ups, and you just cause damage. If you enjoyed the Crash Mode from the other Burnout games, then you'll enjoy this, because I did. And I mean, it lasts only 3 hours, but I remember when they originally kind of formed that new studio and they made Dangerous Golf, people are like, just make Crash from Burnout, and here's Crash from Burnout. Now the interesting thing is, so this game came out on PS4 and PC months ago, right? And they said it would never come to Xbox.
Really?
Right?
Why'd they say that? That's mean.
They said it never would. And then on Twitter, they were like, thanks to the help of Epic Games and Microsoft, we're bringing it to Xbox. So somebody intervened. Somebody did some work.
Maybe.
And here's the thing. So on the PS4 and PC, this game has 20 levels. On the Xbox One, this game has 32.
So it's got more levels.
So there's 12 more levels. And they're not done. So it has Xbox One X enhancements. So when the X comes out, this game's going to be native 4K or 1080p 60, depending on how you want to play. And they're adding 6 more levels to that version. So then that game will have 38.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that. And based on that information, I will be giving it some coverage then.
So, I mean, I don't know Epic or Microsoft helped with the porting stuff, but yeah, so they added 12 more like they were like, hey, we added like 40% more content. We got more content coming when the X version comes out. So it's pretty cool. I played that, but mainly I spent a lot of my time with Forza Motorsport 7.
All right. I know that game.
My first motorsport. And
that's the game that doesn't have any guns in it, right?
Yeah, no guns. You just drive around a car.
Ugh.
And I've talked about how much I love Horizon. How Forza Horizon 3 to me is like the best racing game ever made. I'm an arcade racer fan, right? Like I like the arcadey style of racing. So I was like, all right, I'll give Forza Motorsport a shot, and to be quite honest, I wasn't really enjoying it right away. The first couple championships, it just seemed boring. It just seemed like all my like kind of preconceived notions about Forza Motorsport 7 coming to light. Like it just there's really no cool music. The cars drive like too realistic. Like I really couldn't like do those cool drifts you can do in Horizon. The world doesn't look as interesting. I mean, Horizon had like jungles and deserts and like all this cool like visuals you could look at, and I was just like, I'm not doing this and that, and like, but the more I played, the more I came to enjoy the game, to the point where I was like actually looking forward to doing more races, which is cool. I'm always willing to give games a chance. I mean, hell, I have a whole playlist dedicated to indie games, basically, right? Which is a lot of games most people wouldn't even bother,
Yeah.
Plus so like I do like achievements. I ain't gonna lie. And don't you dare even bring up Barbie. I saw your tweet.
What tweet?
About who's the leader of the community, and you're like, well, ask Grant. He's the leader of the Barbie community on Xbox or whatever you said.
Yeah,
so
pretty funny.
Yeah. So the game's I think really good, right? And of course, people there are some changes that I think are kind of weird. Like the idea, so they have all these cars in this car collection tier, right? Where the cars you buy add to your car collection score, and then it unlocks different tiers of cars. So like in previous games, if you amassed 5 million credits because you really wanted a Porsche or a Lamborghini, you could go buy that and then use that to race. But in this game, they lock the cars behind tiers. So if you want to buy a Lamborghini, you have to buy other cars first to increase your car collection tier until you can unlock that tier the car's in. And then you can buy it. I'm not really a fan of that design. I mean, I get what they're going for with the whole car collection thing, but like, I don't know. I really wasn't a fan of that. Like the idea of making you buy cars you don't want just to increase your car collection level, and then be able to afford and be able to purchase the cars that you do want.
Well, do you think they've done that to incentivize box buying?
No, because I was fooling around with the boxes, and I didn't get that many cars from like the loot boxes, even though I did get a legendary. I just think okay, so I mean, there's been 7 games of these, right? How do you make Forza Motorsport feel fresh in this day and age, considering there's one every 2 years? And it's like, I think maybe this is one of the things they kind of decided to do. Like, hey, let's just maybe do a car collection thing. We have 700 cars. How do we get people to try cars they don't want, or maybe don't necessarily know they want? They have the campaign where like they kind of force you to play with different cars, unlike Horizon 3, which had the blueprint system where you could literally do all the races in Horizon with the same car if you wanted. This one, it was like each campaign has different cars in it, right? So like one thing you might be doing these like Mazda cars, another thing will be like the Formula 1 cars, another thing will be other different type of cars. So in the campaign, you're constantly trying out different types of cars, and then you earn the rewards, and then you use the mod cards to get even more money, and then you buy more cars and increase your level. Like, I get the idea they're going for. I just didn't really care for it too much.
Okay.
And I didn't really think the loot boxes were that bad, to be honest with you. I mean, you can't buy them with real money. And I didn't really feel like I had to go and use them. It was like you could, because a lot of the stuff is really cosmetic. Like the driver gear, they specifically for this game created driver gear. So for the first time in Forza, your driver is front and center, and you can customize the way he looks. And they have these different driver gears. Like I got stuff like it may turn my driver into a black ninja, or a knight of the round table with this armor. And then of course like classic driver gear. So like they literally made a customization thing for the game, which has no impact on anything because it's just the way your driver looks. I mean, hell, you don't even see him when you race. You know what I mean?
Mm.
They also kind of made some driver badges next to your name. So a lot of those things are kind of cosmetic. And the mods are a big part of the game, true, if you want to get more money. Um, I don't know. I didn't think the loot boxes were as bad as people were saying they were.
Mm.
Now, maybe they'll be that bad. I mean, I don't know, like because it's like it's just the money you earn in game using into loot boxes. Who knows when they turn that into kind of you know, if you want, give us money, you know,
Yeah.
uh, because there were times where I was looking for a legendary mod because I needed one more for the achievement, and I put 1,000,000 credits in. I put there's a box that's 50,000, right? That gives you a chance for legendary mod, and I blew 1,000,000 plus credit. I blew 1.5 million credits into that box to get that legendary mod. Didn't get one, and those cost 50,000. So I bought like 20, 25 boxes. Didn't get a single one. So
That's gambling.
it is. It is. I wish kind of the percentage was on there, but that's my that's my experience with Forza Motorsport 7. I will be revisiting the game on the X because honestly, outside of the cars, Jazz, the game doesn't look very good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a design technique. They make the thing that they expect you to be looking at. They make sure that looks good, and then everything else around it doesn't look as good.
Yeah, like
Some devs do it better than others, but I noticed that in racing games when it's like you're driving around the track and then I don't know, you pause or something, and then you notice like the crowd are just cardboard cutouts or super low poly little squiggles and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Well, the Reverend Slim wants to know. He says, but the loot crates aren't for consumables, right? They're permanent unlocks. So, some of them are permanent, like the driver gear you get for your character or the driver like icon. A car you get is obviously permanent. Like I've gotten a couple cars from the boxes, and they're permanent. The mods are consumables. So you get a mod. They can either be like a one-time use or a three-time use, which means you get to use them 3 times in a race. And if you complete the challenge on there, I actually kind of enjoyed putting the mods on the cars because it made the game more difficult. Or there was one that was like cockpit cam only, right? So like I'm not used to like driving cockpit because I always have the camera outside the car. So it was kind of an interesting challenge that you get rewarded for. I don't know. But yeah, like the game, like the stuff in the distance doesn't look good. Some of the buildings don't look good, and I'm just like, this game doesn't like. I don't know. Outside of like the immediate like cars on the racetrack and like the interior of the cars, I'm like, this game doesn't look so good. Maybe the X and the 4K textures and all that stuff change it, which is what I'm going to be looking for when I play the game when the X comes out. So, yeah, that's all I've been playing. I'm struggling with the choice between playing Mordor now or Mordor later. So, you know what? Let's move on from there, and we'll delve into these topics. What do you want to talk about first, Jez? Any
It's up
topic?
to you, hombre. It's up to you, man.
Up to me. All right. You know what? Let's talk about Fortnite real fast because we were mentioning this before the show. Epic put out a whole bunch of information today. They said over 292 million players have jumped from the battle bus in Fortnite Battle Royale. Right. The new mode has accumulated up to 10 million players in 2 weeks. That's just for the Battle Royale mode. 44 million hours have been played in Battle Royale, which is the equivalent of 1,483 college degrees. Like, I don't know why they do this stuff. They think it's kind of funny. 7 million umbrellas have been earned. I don't know. They have this whole number of like infographics on here. 58 million traps were found. 797 million walls, stairs, or floors and ceilings have been built. So 10 million players in 2 weeks. I hear their concurrent users are always on the rise. Like I think they broke 600,000 or something like that.
That's a lot.
How much of this is because of the battle with PUBG and PUBG mentioning them, and how much of this is because, well, it was a somewhat popular game and then they made it free and now everybody wants to check it out?
Yeah, it's I mean, you're never going to know for sure, but it does seem like after that whole controversy, which was covered by every major game news outlet, they put that game mode on the map. Like, I would fire the PR guy who wrote that press release because they had the complete opposite effect of what they wanted. You know, we covered it, all the major sites covered it, and it was just like, wow, why would you advertise your competition like that? Especially the free version of your competition, which by all accounts is actually pretty solid overall. You know, so we're never going to know for sure, but you know, I would be I would be surprised if that didn't impact. I mean, it'd be interesting if they showed us those stats.
What stats? What stats do you want to see?
How much it went up after they did that press release thing. I think that'd be nice.
I mean, yeah, because it was just a mode within the main game which people had to pay to access for.
Yep.
And then they made it free. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it seems like there is an audience for battle royale games on consoles, and Epic beat PUBG to the punch. You know, this game's free. It's on Xbox and PlayStation. You know, maybe the rumors of PUBG and Xbox increasing the exclusivity deal is because, well, maybe they feel that Fortnite has such a big lead on them on PlayStation. They figured they might as well get an extra check from Microsoft in the meantime, you know?
That's true.
So who knows? But hey, congratulations to Epic. They copied a copy of a copy. And now Fortnite Battle Royale is number one, and nobody cares about Fortnite proper for the people that actually paid anywhere from $40 to $150 to pay for a beta. Like, where's, you know?
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's a weird situation.
It is very weird. Very, very weird.
The real challenge that is like Slugs just said, PUBG is still in alpha. And the real challenge they're facing, yeah, okay, PUBG might be at 20 million now, but Fortnite is already going cross-platform today, and you know, Epic Games have their existing relationships, and they can scale much faster. You know, they've got the distribution. You know, they're no retailers, and Epic are a publisher themselves, so it's like Epic can scale potentially much faster than Bluehole can, which are basically an indie dev. And that's why they're partnered with Microsoft for that scalability, which they just couldn't handle right now. So, and also, Fortnite is free. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, this is Microsoft's investment as well now. It's not just for Bluehole. This is partially for Microsoft's investment. And Microsoft are going to want to get a return on their investment, which is probably significant, as soon as possible. So, I know that Microsoft probably working flat out to get that on Xbox as soon as possible because they want to start making money. And by all accounts as well, even though PUBG is an alpha, it's still the better game overall. That's what most people seem to say. I haven't played enough of either to pass judgment personally because I don't know. I don't personally like the format that much, but I know I'm weird like that. I seem to be in the minority there, but do you like it that much, Ren?
What?
The format.
Battle Royale?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I haven't played one yet, so I don't know. So it's kind of, I mean, just looking at it from an outsider to look at, like when I watch people stream Fortnite and when I watch people stream PUBG, like I find the game to be incredibly boring, at least to watch. Maybe it's a different, you know, experience when you play, but I'm not interested in Fortnite because Fortnite's a terrible game, right? Like I deleted that shit off my hard drive. I don't care what X improvements they're doing for that game; it's not going back on there. PUBG, yeah, I'll be more interested in that because that seems like the better version of it. Whereas like Fortnite seems like the more cartoony arcade version of it. So I don't know, but see, these games don't really interest me. Period. I'm not that big into multiplayer gaming. Like I'll play it, but like I'm interested in other stuff. I'm not interested in this type of gaming. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's interesting to see like the battle between them going on, and how much of this is basically just PUBG's free advertising helping out. Anyways, why is Fortnite a terrible game? I hated it, man. I couldn't stand the like once you kind of like get through the beginning of the game and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cool to like build the buildings and fight off the zombies and friends, but then like the whole entire game is based around that, and they have all these systems in place of all these like research trees and skills to unlock and all this nonsense. And like I just immediately was like, nope, I don't got time for this garbage. You know, every like mission is basically the exact same. Where it's just like go here, win the
Yeah.
battle, collect some other things, and it's like literally the same exact mission, rinse repeat forever.
It's
With
a lot
all
of it
this,
feels arbitrary.
yeah, with all these stupid like mobile mechanics, like oh, you earn 1,000 scientific things a day, and then you collect them and spend them, and then like, and then there's like other things and other trees that help you get more of that stuff. It's like I don't got time for this. Like I'm sorry. Like I'd rather play something else. All right, so I've been waiting for this for a while because I wanted to see. One of these days we're gonna make our predictions for who's gonna win holiday, right? One of the things I've been waiting for is the bundles.
Oh,
That
Nintendo gonna win holiday.
Yeah, well, before we get into that, did you see Edge gave Super Mario Odyssey a 10 out of 10?
I'm not surprised because it's Super Mario, you know.
And that means that I think they gave Legend of Zelda a 10. I think they give 20 10s out in their entire history. That means the Switch would have gotten 2 10s in the matter of 1 year. Like 7 months apart.
The thing about Nintendo games is a lot of game journalists are of a certain age, and they're full of nostalgia for Nintendo. So,
they love Nintendo.
They're gonna give those games 10 out of 10.
The question is, what's going to be higher rated?
They give The Witcher 3 10 out of 10. Because if they didn't, then they got no credibility.
I wonder what where the final thing's going to be. Is Mario Odyssey going to have a higher Metacritic than Zelda?
It's probably going to have a broader appeal,
I mean, Zelda's a 97, I believe, or a 96 on Meta, or maybe a 94. I'm not sure, but I think it's like a 97. It's like, I mean, because the two best highest rated games this year are probably going to be both Nintendo Switch games. And Mario's going to absolutely dominate the holidays. And then there was that rumor that Nintendo's upping production to 2 million units a month for the Switch.
Wow.
They get that stuff in order. I don't know.
They totally nailed the form factor for the Switch because, like, that's what people want now. People want something that can fit around their busy lives and they can carry it with them. They've nailed that form factor, And if they ever do come out with a new Switch like they do with the DS, and they refine things like the docking mechanism, which is a bit cheap and tacky right now, but they've got the form factor down for sure, And that technology is only going to improve. And the Switch is a really great console, It's smart. It's super smart. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like an evolved version of the Wii U, which is like that. It's almost like they knew what they were going for with the Wii U, but maybe the technology just wasn't there yet. And then now with the Wii, with the Switch, sorry, that finally the technology's sort of there, but it could still be improved, and GPUs will shrink, and eventually you'll be able to get probably like really decent looking games on that thing on future versions. So I hope they stick with this form factor because it's gonna hurt Microsoft, because it's gonna be another one of, wow, Microsoft, you've been screwed by mobile again. It's interesting. I like the Switch. I don't like Nintendo games, but I really like the Switch form factor. I'd love to be able to play Xbox games on the go, man. That'd be awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not much of a mobile gamer. I never have been. I didn't really even care for the like Game Boy and stuff like that. So,
you didn't care for the Game Boy?
Like, I don't know. I don't.
There was a time when I was at school and every kid at break time had Game Boy out. trading Pokemon, doing all that sort of stuff. It was cool, man. I mean, I can't see kids taking the Switch to school now, but you know, who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah. Who knows? But so that came out. I'm expecting a whole bunch of other 10s. Mario's going to be the best reviewed game this holiday. I'm sure it'll be 1-2 with Zelda. That's a good punch. A good first year for Nintendo, no doubt. You know, all Microsoft's got is Voodoo Vince, and you know.
Oh well, I don't know if you saw this by the way, but you know Razer, who make gaming laptops.
Yeah.
They were teasing a handheld on their Instagram today. By the way,
Are they? So what? You think they're going to get into the market?
they're definitely getting into the handheld gaming market, judging by their Instagram teaser. So it's interesting where all this is heading. I think.
Yeah,
We'll have to
I
wait
mean,
and
it's always
see.
very interesting.
Check markers on, baby.
So, I want to talk about the bundles because this is always important. These are the bundles that Microsoft is going to put out for the year, and Sony hasn't, as far as I know, I don't think they've announced theirs. So, honestly, 3 of these aren't surprising, and 1 is. So they announced 4 bundles today, which, like I said, will be the ones that will go. Probably ones that be really cheap, and we'll get the majority of the sales. So you have the Xbox One S Minecraft Complete Adventure bundle because it's Minecraft. So, I mean, you have to do this, right? It comes with the 500 gig hard drive, wireless controller, full game download code of Minecraft, full add-on download code for the Minecraft Explorer Pack, full game download code for Minecraft Story Mode Season 1, 3 months of Xbox Live Gold, and Xbox Game Pass for the low price of $280, which, I mean, for Black Friday, you could probably see this at least getting down to $250, if not even like $225, maybe $200. People love Minecraft. So that's one bundle. The other bundle is something I thought they would do. It's called the Xbox One S Starter Bundle. Retails for $279. All these bundles retail for $279. It comes with the 500 gig hard drive, a controller, 3 months of Xbox Live Gold, and 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. So the 100+ games a month, you get 3 months for it. We kind of figured, or at least I thought at some point, they would bundle Game Pass with the system more than just a month, and here's a bundle directly for that. The other bundle is the Halo bundle, of course, because Microsoft and Xbox, is Halo and Halo's Xbox. So this one, this bundle is only available at Walmart.
I'm surprised about the Halo bundle because Halo's not really been in the news for ages now.
Yeah. So the other, so the Minecraft bundle is available at local retailers in Select Market and the Microsoft Store. The starter bundle is the same thing, local retailers and select markets, including the Microsoft Store. The Ultimate Halo bundle is only available at Walmart in the United States. And you get a 500 gig hard drive, a controller, full game download codes for Halo 5 Guardians and the Master Chief Collection, and 1 month of the Game Pass and 14-day gold trial. This is just the same bundle they used a couple years last year or 2 years ago. I know they did this at one point. The only difference is now they threw in a month. No, this is the bundle that I got with my Xbox One S. Remember when the Xbox One S launched? One of the bundles was the Halo bundle. It came with Halo 5 and Master Chief Collection. So they're just doing this bundle again, but then also throwing in 1 month pass.
Must have done well then.
Well, I mean, they're only doing it at Walmart, so so 3 of these to be expected. The one that kind of surprised me was the Xbox One S Rocket League Blast-Off bundle. Rocket League, a Rocket League bundle. So this one is available at local retailers. This doesn't have a price in U.S. Dollars. This only has prices for so this might not be in the United States.
It's interesting that they're going for Rocket League because that game didn't even hit retail, I don't think.
It might have. So it comes with the 500 gig hard drive, controller, full game download code for Rocket League, 3 months of live, and 1 month Xbox Game Pass. So that is the bundles that Microsoft is going out this holiday with. They also have the Assassin's Creed bundle and the Shadow of War bundle. Jazz, do you see these bundles really getting any traction between people at all?
I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't got that much experience with watching the sales during a new console launch, but the X seems to be defying analyst predictions all over the place, like even from experienced people. It's a bit of a wild card, man. Yeah, it's hard to gauge what the appetite is for the X, considering you got to throw in a 4K TV potentially and all that sort of stuff. It's hard to gauge, man. I mean, if it was me, I would say the Xbox One S, is the least exciting console for this holiday season. Personally, I think
I would agree with you.
for me,
I
it's
would definitely
like
agree with you.
PlayStation has, the mind share with all their marketing deals. So, and then you've got the X, which has 4K and it's getting all the media attention. Then you've got Nintendo Switch for the kids crowd and like those exclusive games and nostalgia and all that sort of stuff. So I think when it comes to the Xbox One S, it's the least interesting of the whole lot.
Well, it's also the least powerful of all of them. Like, there's a reason Microsoft is talking about the X and not talking about the Xbox One S, right? Because
yeah,
I mean, games just are going to look the worst and play the worst on the S because that's just the hardware it has. Not to mention even the regular fat. I mean, like, we're in an age now where Microsoft's all about power, and this new system that's coming out is the best, but that also they're kind of sweeping under the rug that the base model is the worst.
Yeah.
But
I
hey,
mean, there's still value in the S in terms of like, maybe a parent will pick up the S for their kids, and then maybe they want the 4K media for themselves and that sort of thing. But I don't think the amount of people picking up the S for that reason is going to be very big.
Well, the reason these exist is to get the system down to $200.
Yeah.
They just want people to get into the ecosystem, right? That's the whole point of all this stuff. They sell the systems for cheap. They get people because the X is for existing users. We both know that, right? It's for the people already invested into the Xbox ecosystem, the ones who have spent hundreds of dollars on.
I don't know, man. I think
there
are hardcore gamers. I think there are hardcore gamers who just want the best, and I think I think the X will make people switch. And I've seen people who hated Xbox for years coming around.
Okay, there may be people that will switch, but the higher percentage of people getting the X are going to be Xbox fans, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
sure.
They called it the "We Heard You" console for a reason. I mean, it's a console made for Xbox fans who desire the best, who want, the 4K content and stuff like that. So I would imagine when all is said and done in this holiday, the people picking up the X are hardcore Xbox fans, the ones who have spent $600 on Xbox Live, the ones who own 100+ games on their systems. Those fans, they're already in the ecosystem. They're like already there. Like, these other systems, these other bundles are kind of geared towards getting a younger audience, maybe to like start getting into that ecosystem, because there is a lot of people who won't buy a system until it gets to a certain price point. They don't care about exclusives or whatever. They care about money. It's like, that's why Sony and Microsoft are trying to, it's like a race to the bottom now. Who can get to $200 first? Because that is where a lot of these consoles do the majority of their business, at $200.
But for people who are deciding where to invest in their what ecosystem to invest in today, the Xbox ecosystem as a whole is going to be attractive to people, especially like people who used to be Xbox fans who switched to PS4 because of how badly Microsoft screwed up the launch of the regular Xbox One, and they might have been watching everything that's been going down, and maybe they think like maybe now the Xbox is the console to go with because of Phil Spencer and because of Microsoft have got service team working on consoles now, doing things like vapor cooling and all that the Hovis method and all these unique technology. And Microsoft has earned itself a lot of credibility in technology, and they're about to earn a lot more in the next couple of
Admit it,
weeks.
Jess. That Hovis method and that
No, that's real.
No, I know. I'm saying, what was the other thing you said? The Hovis method and the liquid cooling.
Yeah.
That turned you on.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's just marketing crap.
No, that turns you on. Like you're sitting there, be like, yeah, man, give me that Hovis method. Give me that liquid cooling on my Xbox.
Well, I like technology, and I like what they've done with it. But again, I think the amount of people who are hardcore about it like that is probably not that big. So it's hard to say, man. It's hard to gauge. A lot of these people are silent, and I don't think they appear in data as much as some people might expect. But
well, this kind of goes into the broader Xbox One X supply issue, right? Yeah. I did a video about this yesterday. I'm sure you saw the same article that I saw from MCEV, which they talked to a bunch of retailers in the UK, and it sounds like outside of pre-orders, they're not going to get very many. In fact, one store requested 100 systems, and they're only going to get 5, and that is a quarter of what they got for the original Xbox One launch. And all the retailers they talked to said the same thing. Like, supply is going to be very, very limited, right? However, even though that's it's to be expected, new hardware launch, limited systems. I mean, Microsoft can only produce so many. The thing is that I saw positive out of that article was the fact that every single one of those retailers said that they have seen demand for the X way beyond their initial predictions. Yeah. People are really interested in the system, and I just kind of hope Microsoft didn't realize that too late, because obviously these things, they have to make these. They order a certain amount based on what they think they're going to sell, and like now you're hearing that like, hey, there's not that much. These retailers are like, yo, people really want this system. You really hope Microsoft can, make as many as they possibly can to meet that demand, because if someone goes on November 7th and goes to the store and there's only, there's not one there, they may just say, screw it, I don't need an Xbox One X.
I don't know, man. I think Microsoft have got a bit of time. If there is supply shortages, I'd be surprised. First of all, I'd be surprised if there is, because I don't think Microsoft would make that kind of mistake. But if there is supply issues, I think Microsoft can afford it a little bit, because, I mean, people who've decided to buy an X, they've done so because they've researched it and they know what it is and stuff like that, and they've made a conscious decision that they want an X. I don't think they're just going to settle for a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One S, or just not buy one. The X is not an impulse purchase. It's really not.
No, but there will be people who don't want one, and then when it comes out, they'll be like, "Oh my god, I want one." You know what I mean? Like, because that's happened to me. It's just like, I don't want one. Well, not the X, but other things, and it's like, I don't want one. I'm not going to pre-order because I don't want one, and then everybody around you gets one, and you're like, "Well, I want one too," and then like, "Oh man, I can't find it," and you're like, "Oh man,"
those people just have to wait a bit. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, by the waiting, maybe they decide that, you know what, like that initial factor of like thinking you didn't want it and then you did because you can't get it. Then it's just like, I didn't really want it anyways. And then you go buy something else. I mean, I've read reports that the same thing, like this happens. Like people like have it in their head, they want this thing, they go to get it, it's not there, and then they buy something else. What
else are they going to buy? If they want the best console for graphics and stuff, they've got no choice.
Maybe they use the money instead to buy something else for themselves or a gift for somebody else. I'm just saying, like, you don't want people to go to the store unless you're Nintendo, apparently, and leave them empty-handed. You want to have the product there for people to pick up. But maybe some supply issues might be good. Like Nintendo seems to be like, yeah, we're so popular, we're so out of stuff, and people just want them. Maybe Microsoft is the same thing as like, yeah, like, we produce so many X's, but they're sold out. Like, You know,
It could create a buzz, definitely.
I mean, it could. It could.
But
It's gonna
I don't
be.
think Microsoft cares about a buzz. They'd rather have people buying the console. So if they don't make enough, then it's going to be another Elite controller situation where they misread the market. But the thing is, how would you not be able to misread the market right now when pretty much every media outlet is like downplaying the Xbox as much as they can? You know, the social media is still Xbox has this stigma still, and you know, if I was Xbox, I'd find it hard to read the market because there's only so much data you can get out there, you know. And hating Xbox is cool. It's the cool thing to do, you know. So
Is it the cool thing to do, Jez?
yeah, it's super cool, man. Hating Microsoft is still super cool thing to do on Reddit and you know on social media. So if I was Microsoft and I was trying to gauge the audience, gauge the you know the audience from this sort of stuff, you know, it'd be hard. And I don't know what kind of data they have when they're making these decisions, but clearly they misjudged the Elite controller. They totally misjudged that.
They did. They totally misjudged that market.
And it's a similar proposition, you know. It's like it's a mid-gen upgrade, which hasn't really been done in this sort of way before. You know, at this sort of scale. So it could be a big screw up.
I mean, hopefully they can restock it fast. But the thing is, like, it's nice to hear, even you know, even though they're like, hey, there might not be enough for people outside pre-orders. It's nice to hear all these retailers basically say, by the way, we have interest in the system way beyond than what we predicted. So there seems to be, even at $500, which was a price point we were concerned about, you kind of sit there and think, man, are people going to go for this? But it seems like, at least right now, that there is some pretty good interest, greater than people thought, for the X. And that'll be even more apparent, because I'm telling you, this doesn't work. When you get your X, and everybody gets their X, and Maka gets his X, and all these people get their X's, and you have all these social media impressions about the system, it's just going to fuel more hype, and it's going to fuel more interest in the system, and then more people are going to be, you know, it's going to be in their mind, like, oh my god, like, I really like Jez Corden. He's tweeting about how awesome the games look and how amazing the system is. You know, I'm a big fan of Patrick Maka, and he's tweeting about, like, oh my god, these games are 4K. I'm a fan of this person, this person, this person, my favorite YouTuber. They're all playing on the X, and oh my god, they all, like, you see, like, that kind of will snowball. There's very similar to, like, in social media embargoes for when critics see movies, right? Like, with, like, the other day, like, Thor released, and you had all the critics finally, like, when Disney released the embargo, all the critics on social media were like, oh my god, Thor, the new Thor movie is the best. Oh, it's so much fun, it's so amazing. And now people are like, yeah, Thor, I'm gonna get my tickets now. Like, you know, like, it's kind of that, it's almost like a free publicity thing before, you know, the actual reviews and the system comes out, because it kind of just reinforces the idea, you know, people have the X, people are enjoying the X, this may be something I should pick up down the road. And then, you know, the system comes out, and then it's just this explosion of stuff on social media and reviews everywhere and impressions and videos. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, man.
It's gonna be interesting. By the way, do you know when you're getting your system?
Sometime towards the end of October, I am reviewing the X for Windows Central, and it's going to be interesting. I've never reviewed a console before, so hopefully I do a good job.
People say you need to lay down the law in chat today, Jazz.
Lay down the law?
What law? I don't know. People are saying you need to lay down the law.
What law?
I don't
know any law.
I don't know. Anyways. Before we get into loot boxes, the Windows Store. Jess had a nice rant about it last week. There's problems with Shadow of Mordor, problems with Forza Motorsport 7. Jazz, what's going on? What's going on with the Windows Store, man?
Oh God, the Windows Store is a catastrophe, epic proportions, and it continues to be a catastrophe of proportions. You know, we talked about it before, didn't I? How the Windows team is in charge of the Windows Store, not the Xbox team. So I know it's a source of frustration for a lot of people at Xbox about how terrible um, the Windows team is handling the store. It's a big source of frustration. Like as far as the Windows store is concerned, they don't care if the store can handle 100 gigabyte files because apps and stuff like that aren't 100 gigabyte ever. It's just the games that are causing all these problems for them, and they don't seem to care. You know, it's frustrating, and I feel for the Xbox team because they should be in control of it. I think one of two things needs to happen for the Windows Store. And for those who don't know, by the way, when we're talking about stuff that sucks on the Windows Store right now, it's mainly stuff like the Xbox Store doesn't seem to be able to handle large files. When you try to download a 100 gigabyte game, it often just disconnects and breaks, and then you have to download it all over again, which is, you know, the last thing you kind of want, really, especially if you've got a data cap. So like you end up in this situation where you you know, you have to download the game again, which sucks. And not only that, but the games are sometimes janky because Microsoft developers aren't used to working with UWP. So that compounds the whole image that the Windows 10 store is a pile of garbage. And Microsoft has done very, very little to solve it. In you know, they've got a big update coming to Windows this month, which might help some of these problems. But it's at this point, it almost feels like too little, too late. You know, Xbox should be running their own store for PC games and just cut Windows out of the equation because the team just doesn't seem to be a priority for them.
I thought this would be fixed by now, to be honest with you. Like,
so did I.
Okay, you forgive the issues initially, but like I thought, like the second you're going into this, you know, I thought they wouldn't. I thought they'd have this stuff ironed out.
Yeah, so did I. You know, I give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt for years about this stuff, and it's got to the point now where, you know, even the biggest fanboys, Microsoft fanboys, can't even deny that the Windows 10 store is a pile of crap. It's so bad, and it makes Xbox look bad, makes Microsoft look bad, especially with PC gamers who hate Microsoft in general. So, and these are the people they're trying to win over. You'd think they'd be dedicating more resources to solving these problems, but they're not. So, I've argued before they should just give up, because why do it half-assed? You know, if you do it half-assed, why bother at all? It's just really annoying. So I've said that to people at Microsoft. I said, why bother? You know, I wrote a huge article about it a few months ago. Why bother? Why bother doing it half-assed? It's annoying, man. It's annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a PC gamer. It'd be terrible to say if they're still having these issues a year from now. Then, you know, why not just let Ybarra just run that? I mean, he is corporate vice president of gaming at Microsoft. Why not let him run the Windows store?
Ybarra should run it. It should be Ybarra. It should definitely be Ybarra running it. I don't know who's directly in charge, directly responsible for the store. I know people that are like responsible for gathering feedback on the store, and they're not happy with what they're constantly having to deal with. So, it's weird, man.
It is very weird. I don't know. Microsoft already has the stigma of like, hey, all your games are on PC, right? So, I mean, Phil's even talked about this, where it was like they view that as hell. If somebody wants to play on PC, play it on PC. But like, if the PC's not working, that's not good. You need to those things need to be work. I mean, you saw the Cuphead problems. They had like save problems. Like I personally know 3 people who bought Cuphead on the Windows Store to support Xbox and the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, and it erased their saves. Like,
wow, that's not good.
That's not good, man. Like, that shit should work, especially when the game's on Steam. You know, I mean, I don't know. Let Mike run the Windows 10 store. He'll fix it up in a jiffy, although Mike probably may not want the extra responsibility, I guess. So now we're gonna talk about loot boxes. Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good.
Loot
Um,
boxes.
the loot. So the ESRB. Some people have been like saying, "Oh, we need to get the ESRB to classify this stuff, right?" And Kotaku ran an article today. They got in touch with ESRB, and here's what the ESRB. Now, the ESRB is a ratings board. It's like the industry. It's not a government board, right? Like this isn't the ESRB is not like something that the U.S. government made. This is a self-policing. It's like the video game industry self-policing themselves, basically, because they needed it, right?
Yeah.
So this is what they say about loot boxes. They go, ESRB does not consider loot boxes to be gambling, said an ESRB spokesperson in an email. While there's an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive in-game content, even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. We think of it as a similar principle to collectible card games. Sometimes you'll open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eye on for a while, but other times you'll end up with a pack of cards you already have. Now, according to ESRB's criteria, real gambling is any sort of wagering involving real cash, while simulated gambling means that the player can gamble without betting or wagering real cash or currency. The spokesperson added that any game with real gambling will always receive an adults only rating, which would be completely poisonous for big publishers, as most big box retailers will not sell adult only games in their stores. Oh my god.
It's complicated, man. It's
Yeah.
complicated. And it sort of it falls back on the whole thing like it's a conundrum for I mean, first of all, the ESRB is funded by game developers.
Mm-hmm.
So they are hardly trustworthy about this. So I'm just going to disregard everything they say and just say, yeah, it is gambling. I'm sorry. You pay real life money for a crate and you get junk, then you've gambled that money. That's the literal Oxford Dictionary definition of gambling. You know, they can say whatever they want, but it's still gambling. And China considers it gambling, and I wouldn't be surprised if soon the European Union starts looking into it as well, because the European Union, they will, you know, they don't care what companies say. They'll do whatever they want. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if European Union and China consider it gambling and America still doesn't consider it gambling, then it's going to be funny. But it puts game companies in a weird position, because on the one hand, if all games with loot boxes were 18 rated, potentially that would help kill retailers, which that's their long-term goal. They want to cut retailers out. They want to cut the second-hand market out of the equation, and having all games 18 rated would help with that. But
well, also, like they just said, if like any gambling game that they consider gambling gets an adults only rating, Microsoft and Sony have policies in place which say they will not allow an adults only game on their store. They won't publish it. They won't let it be on their system. So if Star Wars Battlefront 2 was giving an AO rating,
adults, okay, so you've got a different system in America, right? There's no such rating as adults only in England. There's just 18 rating.
That's kind of what the mature rating is like. You know, T E for everyone, T for teens, M for mature, which is like 18, and then AO, which is supposed to be like porn games and stuff like that. But so you see what they're saying is, like, if they would classify loot boxes as gambling, then all these games with loot boxes would automatically receive an AO rating, which means Microsoft and Sony, by their own policies, wouldn't put the games on their stores. So Forza Motorsport 7, Halo, every game that Microsoft of their own, plus Star Wars Battlefront, plus Overwatch, they wouldn't be allowed to be sold on Xbox and Sony systems. Plus, big box retailers like Walmart and stuff wouldn't carry them. So you kind of see the issue there, right? Like you said, like the ESRB isn't a government institution. It's industry watchdog made up by industry people. So if they classified loot boxes as gambling, then essentially none of the games with loot boxes would be able to be sold on any store, right?
Yeah, it's weird. I guess the fact of the matter is, if ESRB says loot boxes aren't gambling, then they're just not going to be considered gambling, you know, even though they are gambling, because you pay money and you gamble on the opportunity to get stuff. There's flashing lights like a slot machine, and there's music when you get a good item. It's just like a slot machine, man. It is gambling, whether they like it or not. And the psychology they use to get you to pay for the micropayments is what casinos use as well. So it is gambling. It's gambling. God damn it, it's gambling. So I'm actually planning to write to my MP in England to ask them to look into this issue and see what they think about it, because she's replied to my whiny letters before. So see what happens. I mean, I don't actually I want to pursue a vendetta about this. I'm just interested what the government's stance will be on this, especially because the current government is all about saving the children, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So if I write a letter okay, what about these, you know, loot crate mechanics which are in childish looking games like Fortnite, which basically reward players psychologically for, you know, risking their money on a fake item. Is that something we want to be incentivizing to our children? Think of the children, Rand. Think of the children. And I'll be saying like that, and then yeah, but then again, at the same time, you have to be careful what you wish for, Rand, because I mean, one of the game developers' arguments is we need the microtransactions to offset spiraling development costs. Now, do you agree with that? Do you think they do need more money?
No, I think the reason they make these things is because there's a market for them.
So you think they're being greedy?
Of course. Like the idea that a digital game is less than a physical game because it cuts out a whole bunch of stuff, but is still just is more expensive than a physical game. It's I don't think the idea that we need to have this in the game because the games are so expensive. I don't think so. Because I think they put them in the game because they have the data that shows that there is a market for these things. Now, keep in mind, anytime you buy a loot crate from Overwatch, right? Anytime you buy, something from Forza, well, not Forza, something from Halo, or anytime any of the stuff from Sony or Microsoft, right? Microsoft and Sony get a cut from this. They know exactly how many people are buying loot boxes because they have the data themselves, right? The developers themselves have the information because they run the game. So they know how many people buy that stuff. Like Bungie knows and Activision knows how many people spend money on silver to buy those Bright Ingrams. And Activision knows how many people do it for Call of Duty and so on and so forth. And Xbox knows and PlayStation knows. And these people, they share some of the information, not all of it. So the idea, and I've seen Matt Pasquarelli, I believe his name, from MPD, talking about it. And he's of the same opinion to me. It's not because they need to get more money. It's because these things exist and are getting more prevalent because there is clearly a market for these on consoles and everywhere else. Microsoft knows it. Sony knows it. These companies know that. Now, while we are talking about it here and we don't like it, and the 214 people who are watching it too, by the way, thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoy the show. We may not like it, but we are a minority. There are people who couldn't care less about any of this stuff. Well, they come home.
I don't think we're a minority. I think what's more accurate to say is that there are people who spend so much money that it makes our opinions matter less.
That's the whole point.
Sure, is that most people? I don't think most people buy microtransactions. I think just a few that spend ridiculous amounts of microtransactions. They're creating this market by themselves, you know. I saw.
If you take like all the people who spend any amount of money on microtransactions, whether it's $1 to $5,000, there is clearly a market there for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a huge market for it. I mean, didn't Activision come out recently and say that this has been their best quarter ever because of micropayments?
Yeah, the micropayments in Overwatch. EA said they made like 1.3 billion just in like Ultimate Team stuff and extra transact. Like these companies have come out and said they're making mint. I mean, Grand Theft Auto made like $700 million in just shark cards. Like, and I'm saying like the developers, they all share this info. Microsoft and Sony themselves know because they process the transactions. They know there's an audience for these type of things. You know what I'm like? There's a large amount of people that just don't care about this stuff. Now, I care about this stuff, and you care about this stuff, but we're hardcore gamers. Like, here's my official stance on loot boxes. I don't like them. I don't like them one bit. Because I see this as developers taking things that used to be free or part of the game and locking them in crates. Now, with that said, I don't have a problem with the way Overwatch does it, where it's literally cosmetic, right? I don't even have a problem with the way Destiny does it. It's all cosmetic nonsense. I don't care about cosmetic nonsense. So if somebody wants to go and spend $300 like Jez did in Overwatch to get some stupid skin for their stupid character, then whatever. It's their money. They can do what they want. I'm never going to spend a single dime on microtransactions as long as there is breath in my body. I will never do that because I find it a complete waste of money, because I find the digital goods that they give you completely worthless and not worth the money that I make. So while that Symmetra skin looks pretty damn cool in Overwatch, and sure, I would love to have it, I'm not paying $5 to have the potential to get that. I value my money more than I value that creation, right? Now, where I draw a line on the sand, where I say, look, this is it. You want to keep your stuff cosmetic? That's fine by me. And even the way Forza does it, where it's like cosmetic stuff, mod stuff, which I don't have an issue with, and some cars, fine. You want to know why? Because it doesn't impact anybody else. The line where I draw in the sand, right, is when those microtransactions affect me and affect other people that are playing the game. And the perfect example of this is why I made the video about Star Wars Battlefront 2. Because to me, that game is a pay-to-win model. In my opinion, multiplayer should always be a what's the word I'm looking for? A level playing field as much as possible, right? My skill versus your skill, essentially. That's how I view multiplayer. Now, Star Wars Battlefront only has... You can only get abilities and guns in the loot crates. You can't even get them while leveling up like you can in like Call of Duty or something like that, right? And then they have the star cards, which are the abilities that you use, and they are egregious. 50% less damage taken for one, all the way up to the gold level to 100%. That is game-changing stuff in a multiplayer game. That is going to affect my enjoyment of said game, because someone out there is either going to get lucky by getting those better star cards that I haven't been able to get and then kill me with them and then kill other people around them, or that person has more money than he has time and decided, you know what, I'll give $200 and get you all the best stuff. Can you imagine if the issue here is like Call of Duty, if we both had the same gun, but because you spent $100, now that gun does an extra 30% damage? How is that fair in any sense of the word? You know what I'm saying? That is the problem I have with Battlefront 2. It affects my gameplay and affects others' gameplay, and I just can't stand it in multiplayer. If you want to keep it in single player, like the idea that Shadow of Mordor has loot boxes in a single player game is kind of ridiculous on itself. But like you said, it's basically not even really used that much. It's almost like Monolith just threw it in there because Warner Brothers wanted it, right? Like, oh, just do something. right? But that doesn't really affect anybody else. It only affects like my enjoyment of it. Now we're at this point where like, holy crap, now it's going to affect the multiplayer portion of a game. I just can't stand by that. It's no, that's the line in the sand. If it affects multiplayer in any manner, if it takes it from a level playing field to other people having advantages by either playing hundreds of hours or by spending hundreds of dollars, I'm not down with that.
Yeah. No, I'm in completely agreement. You know, I was so happy with Battlefront to start with. I loved every aspect of it. You know, it was gorgeous, Star Wars fantasy, great gunplay, and all that stuff. And then I realized I wasn't progressing because I didn't have the right cards. That's just so pathetic. And it's scary that DICE haven't even replied yet. You know, it's really annoying. They had every opportunity to really make the game that people asked for with Battlefront 2. And you know, a lot of the fans of the classic franchise, they were like annoyed about Battlefront 1, sorry, because it was casualized and, you know, it was missing a lot of the content that they expected, like space battles and sort of stuff. And they give people everything they want, and then they go and make you pay to win. It's so weird that they did this.
It's not weird. It's not weird because the whole time they were like, "We heard you. We heard our fans. You didn't want a season pass, right? You didn't want
It's your fault."
Well, no, they like, and it's like everything's free, right? There's no season pass. There is, but like you knew the other shoe was going to drop at some point, like, and here's the other shoe. Now it's microtransactions. Granted, disclaimer: this is all based on beta information. There is a possibility a month from now when the game comes out they change it, but I seriously doubt it's going to change that much because it seems like the core of the game is already made. Like maybe how much you get in a payout at the end of a match will change. Because I mean, dude, you saw that the person who was the best player in the team gets the same amount of credits as the person who's like the worst. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It feels like they've done it that way because the crates control your progression as well. So it's like they don't want to make it so someone can't progress because they haven't won a match. And so, oh man, that's just how it's going to be. I think like that is literally it.
Yeah, keep that stuff on mobile gaming. Keep that stuff on mobile, like Jason Wilson just said. Like, and you know what? Like I said, I don't care. Like, I wish this stuff wasn't there, right? But like, I'm accepting of it if it has no impact on me whatsoever. If Jez is spending $300 on Overwatch stuff to get like cute like Tracer outfits for his waifu, you know, doesn't affect me in the slightest. It only affects Jez. If he wants to do that, be my guest. You know, if I have a buddy who spent $3,000 on Neverwinter.
Well, that's what I was hoping. I was hoping
like,
it'd be
whatever.
Battlefield's micropayments, which Battlefield's micropayments are like by and large cosmetic, you know. And when they're not cosmetic, it's like, okay, it's got a, you know, it's a gun with slightly more attack but slightly less range. It doesn't really impact the game. It's not like there's a gun in Battlefield 1 that you have to get from a micropayment in order to win the match. It's not pay to win. It's all cosmetic stuff. So I was hoping it would just be like Battlefield 1. Surely they've made enough money on Battlefield 1 for them to use that model again. Why did they have to go full greed, man? Why did they have to do it, right?
I don't know. Maybe they'll change it. Maybe they hear. I don't know. Here's the thing. Like Star Wars, I think is one of those games where it's going to sell regardless, right? A lot of people love Star Wars, and I was interested a lot in this game for the campaign. Oh, finally, a Star Wars campaign. But it's like this is nonsense. This loot bait, like the loot crate stuff in all these other games, I don't mind. But like, but the loot crates in this one, I have a problem with. I have a problem, an inherent problem with loot crates affecting gameplay. You know, I really do. Like in multiplayer. Like if you want to keep that shit to single player, if you want to keep it to cosmetics, sure, right? Whatever. I'll survive because people can do what they want with their money. But I'm not like, so now it's like, I don't want to buy this game anymore. I might just Redbox it. You know, I'm gonna rent it for a couple days, run through the campaign, and then delete it off my hard drive. You know, that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing.
Well, I'm reviewing it, so I'm gonna be getting it. But if I wasn't reviewing it, I think I'd probably skip it as well. I'd probably just stick to Battlefield because Battlefield's still getting loads of content all the time, and it's like. But that's the thing, though. We don't matter. We're going to be so hardcore gamers are going to be so trivial on the footprint of who buys Battlefront 2 because it's Star Wars. Everyone's going to buy Star Wars Battlefront because it's coming out same time as big movie. It's even got like DLC based on The Last Jedi, which is the big Star Wars movie coming out. It almost feels like a lost battle at this point.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the micropayments are even worse at launch. I wouldn't be surprised. And Dice, and I'm just going to quickly check on the Reddit to see if they've even responded to the criticisms. Star Wars Battlefront subreddit. We've got blah 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 blah. There's nothing. They've said nothing about the whole subreddit right now is talking about the loot crate system, and they haven't. EA and DICE have not responded, which means that that's it. That is probably the system they're going to use. They haven't replied. So, GG.
GG.
Good game, Blizzard.
As
I used to say when I got killed in Red.
GG.
GG.
Man, I mean,
we lost the war. We lost the war on micropayments, man.
I mean, you remember the furor with For Honor earlier in the year, right?
Oh yeah, where you had to spend hundreds of dollars to get everything or something.
Yeah, like here's the thing. Like, Next Stock 1851 says, "Avoid it, bro. The only way we can make an impression is not buying it. They're preying on nostalgia." And I've seen people say on everywhere that like a sale for Shadow of War means that you support microtransactions or you support loot boxes. I don't necessarily agree with that because I bought Shadow of War because I want to play Shadow of War. My buying Shadow of War means that I want to play that game. It doesn't mean that I want their microtransactions. Now, a purchase of their loot box would mean that I agree with their practices, which I'm never going to do. But I don't really have an issue with Shadow of War. So with Star Wars Battlefront, I might just rent it because, man, I'm torn on this, Jazz, because I love video games, dude. I like playing all this new stuff, and there's this one multiplayer thing, and it's just like I have a fundamental issue with how that's handled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know it's only going to get worse. You know, every single year, developers and publishers will just kind of push the line further out, you know. And what is it going to look like in a year from now? Like 2 years from now? You know, Microsoft is in love with cards. It's in every single one of their games. From Halo 5 to Gears of War to Halo Wars to Forza. Like, Microsoft is all in on loot boxes. They're all, if you got cards, give it to us because we will take. So we don't know it yet, but I would be absolutely shocked if Sea of Thieves did not have a card system, a loot box system in some way.
I mean, it already does. It's got those little treasure chests.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I know. I'm just saying, like, that game's gonna have it. You know it. State of Decay 2. Maybe that game's small enough, or maybe they don't. Or maybe it will. I don't know.
No, I think State of Decay might escape it. Oh, I don't know. Actually, because maybe Microsoft will be like, "Nah, this game's been in development for ages. We want to kind of get a return on our investment." Blah blah blah. But I can't see how it would work in State of Decay. I mean, there doesn't seem to be that much stuff in it. They'd have to make like tons and tons of guns and follower types and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have it in Forza Horizon 3. But maybe Forza Horizon 4 will, and I mean, who knows how much like Halo's multiplayer is going to change for 6. They did basically make a mode for the recreation system or the requisition system, and Gears, that basically was just for cosmetics and the horde mode stuff. But
the horde mode was the horde mode system for loot crates was basically what Battlefront is, but the difference between horde mode's random crate progression and Battlefront's random crate progression is, in horde mode you could destroy the card you didn't want to work towards the card you did want. You couldn't do that in the beta for Battlefront, and also horde mode isn't competitive, so it doesn't really matter because you're just playing with friends anyway.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's the big difference. Like, that is basically the big difference. It's a cooperative mode and not a competitive mode.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice horde mode's micropayments because I was just like, well, I don't really care about it because it's not competitive. I'm just gonna, destroy the cards I don't want. And I think like they gave you a bunch of free packs with the game, and I like pretty much had all the cards I wanted for my scout anyway, so I didn't really care about it. But then when I was playing Battlefront, I was like, why isn't my heavy higher level? Why don't I have these star card unlock shit? And it's just like, oh, it's because I haven't got the right random cards yet.
Yeah. Well, Rain City Gamer says loot boxes fit in perfectly to a post-apocalyptic zombie survival game. Pay to build your bases faster, guns, ammo, resources, etc. They will use a mobile game thing. Watch. It's possible.
Oh yeah, it's totally possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Fit. And that game is also a cooperative game.
I think there's a psychology as well of like having to earn it. I think like State of Decay. If State of Decay had these loot mechanics, it'd be just like, wow, who are you to ruin gaming? I mean, people expect it of Microsoft and EA and stuff like that. But when it's like Undead Labs, who apparently have control of their IP, am I right in thinking that?
No, I'm pretty sure Microsoft owns the State of Decay IP.
Okay, but they are independent, right?
Undead Labs. Yeah, the Undead Labs is not owned by Microsoft.
So I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, maybe it's been delayed so they can put them in. I don't know, man. It's a mess, but it's here to stay. They make so much money that it's like, well, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna tell Activision, don't have an extra $1 billion every quarter? Are you gonna go to Activision and do that? They're a business. They don't care what we think. If they're gonna go for the $1 billion. I mean, who wouldn't? Would you trade $1 billion to not have microtransactions in your game, man?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So
I want $1 billion. I mean, $1 billion would make me do a lot of other things.
So apparently, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 microtransactions have been revealed on Amazon. I don't know. Did you see this?
I saw that they've got some. They've got some like you can buy like you can spend $100 for like the 10,000 kyber crystals or something.
Yeah, so like the crystals range from $5 to $100.
Yeah, I did notice there was another currency called kyber crystals, which I didn't even see. So maybe there's going to be loot crates that are separate from the progression crates, and like they've just created like in Shadow of War, for example, you've got silver, which is the currency from just playing the game, and you can get loot crates for free like that. But then you've got gold, which you pay for, which is different loot crates. So I don't know. Do you think they've got like two different kinds of loot?
I mean, usually there's the stuff that you earn in game that you can use to spend on stuff, but then usually most games also have a currency where you can just buy. Like, doesn't Mordor? It has two different currencies. It's got the mithril currency and then like the gold, right?
The gold is the one you pay for, and the silver is the one you get for free.
Yeah, so like I would assume Star Wars is the same. It has a currency that you get while you're playing. It's called this, and then it has the currency that you can only get with real money, which is probably the crystals.
Yeah, and
you can probably buy whatever you want. But yeah, 1,000 crystals, $10. 1,200 or 12,000 crystals, $100. So it ranges from $10 or no $5 because for 500 crystals for $5, all the way up to 12,000 crystals for $100. And you know what? Like, I wouldn't be that upset about it if it was just like for cosmetic nonsense. You know, if like, because you figure like Star Wars Battlefront, like that shit is so prime for cosmetic stuff, like Overwatch. Like they have the emotes, right, and they have the heroic poses that you get in those things. But then they also offer like, you know, the abilities, the guns, right, and sometimes you get like the crafting material. Like, why not be able to offer different skins for your stormtroopers and shit? It's probably because LucasArts doesn't want to deal with that stuff. They do? I didn't see any of that.
There is skins and trooper customization. I just don't think it was in the game. And I'm pretty sure there is customization. They've been advertising it in their trailers and stuff. But none of it was in the beta. But I don't know, man. What if they just offered the cosmetic stuff for micropayments? Nah, they wouldn't have. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
The idea that like the beta was the way it was because it was the beta, and like everything else is different. Like suddenly the abilities and the guns wouldn't be in loot boxes only. Like suddenly you'd get them from leveling.
The abilities are in loot boxes, but you have to get those loot boxes by playing, and then they have a separate loot box which is cosmetic, which you have to pay for. Or
I don't know, man. This is what gaming's come to. This is what gaming has come to.
You know what I might do? I might do the world's first microtransaction review and start reviewing the microtransactions of different games.
You know what the funny thing is?
I do that. Yeah.
Is people like hate microtransactions. People hate like loot boxes and stuff like that, right? But people love to watch videos of people opening up loot boxes. I mean, from like 2K to Gears to Halo. For whatever reason, people love to watch other people open up loot boxes. It's crazy.
Well, that's because it feels good when you open a loot crate. They're designed to feel good when you open a loot crate. And, you know, even if you don't pay for loot crates, it's fun watching people open them and get
It's fun watching people. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's fun, but it's like I can see why other people would think it's fun. It's like the same reason people watch poker, you know.
Man, maybe it's just because I'm too old. I don't know. I'm like I don't like what like. Oh wow, look what I got this time, guys. Oh, it's a like better engine. I don't know. I'm too old, I guess. But I don't know.
Microtransactions compared to Overwatch anyway, because there's no waifus in other games.
Yeah, you love your waifus. You know, I actually had this conversation yesterday with my buddy Loveboat Gopher.
About waifus?
No, not about waifus, but about this games as a service stuff and how they're going to sequelize these games. Right? Like, do you see a scenario where like Overwatch 2 ever comes out? Because I can, because like Blizzard doesn't make one-offs. There's 3 Diablos, you know, there's a whole bunch of StarCrafts. You know, World of Warcraft is basically one giant game with a whole bunch of expansions. So like there being one Overwatch would kind of go against what they do. They take a while, but there eventually be a sequel. And so we talked about Overwatch. We talked about like Rainbow Six Siege, right? Like, how do you make sequels to those games? Because do you so for like Rainbow Six and Overwatch, for example, do you make a sequel and include none of the characters from the originals? Like none of the operators from Rainbow Six? Or do you make a sequel and it's like half-half? Like 10 old operators or 10 characters from Overwatch 1, but then 10 new ones, right? Like, how do you do that? Because then you run the risk of people being like, well, I don't want Overwatch 2. I don't want Rainbow Six Siege. You know, I'm happy with the game I'm currently... You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work? How are they going to deal with that?
I don't think they'll do an Overwatch 2. And for the same reason they haven't done a World of Warcraft 2. You know, it's like... I think Blizzard don't believe that games need... They'll do a sequel if they feel like it needs it, or there's some new technology that they can do to advance it.
Here's what it is. Overwatch 2 with a single-player campaign. Booyah!
I can just add that as a DLC. Yeah, my brother actually made an interesting point earlier. He said it'd be cool if Telltale did an Overwatch campaign.
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge world for them to discuss. I'm just saying, like, because they were talking about that, and it's like, but not only that, like, For Honor, like, how do you make a sequel to For Honor? Like, just the same. It's kind of crazy for these hero shooters, which everybody seems to love. It's like, what do you do for a sequel? And how long is the sequel? Like, Rainbow Six Siege is like bigger than ever, right? 2 million plus players. It's like, do you kill that off and make Rainbow Six Siege 2? And then if you do you include 15 new operators, or do you include half old and half new? Like, do you make all new I mean, it's kind of interesting because people get attached. People get attached to the heroes. People are attached to Tracer. People are attached to like Reinhardt and stuff. And can you imagine if like they make Overwatch 2 and like they just dropped all people's favorite characters? People would be.
That's what they did in Left 4 Dead 2. They dropped all the characters in Left 4 Dead 2, and people were pissed, man.
Yeah,
I remember people being pissed.
It's pretty interesting.
The engine was so much better. Then Left 4 Dead 2 added something that the first one didn't have, like better engine and all that sort of stuff. So unless Overwatch 2 had some like much better stuff, like engine and stuff, then they'd probably do a sequel. But I don't think they will. I think they'll just keep expanding what they've got now, because Blizzard just don't make games for the sake of it, I think. I don't know.
I would, that's something they got to think about, because Ubisoft is thinking about a Rainbow Six Siege too. They have to be. They want to be able to sell you a $60 game again, and then everything on top of it. It's just interesting how they're going to go about it. Anything else you want to talk about, Jez? Any other things come to mind?
I don't know, man.
You don't know?
I just want to kill this ghoul right now. Stick a knife on his head. No, the ghoul's dead. There we go. Sword. I don't know. It's been pretty quiet this week, really. Mostly.
Yeah. Mid Bendis wants to know if it's thinkable that Randall and Jazz playing a cooperative Steam, 2 windows on Mixer. Yeah, that'll happen at some point.
What, playing a game cooperatively?
Playing a game cooperatively and dual streaming on Mixer?
Oh yeah, at some point.
At some point.
I don't have a PC that can stream right now, which is annoying.
And neither do I.
No, Razer support is the worst I've ever dealt with. A lot.
So throw us some questions, and we will answer a few before we jump on out of here. But like you said, yeah, like it's been a slow week. We're a month away from the Xbox One X. People are hyped. People aren't hyped. We're kind of in this holding pattern, and finally, here come the games. Shadow of War, Door, or Shadow of War this week. Evil Within 2 on Friday, which, by the way, is probably going to bomb.
Of course, it's going to bomb. It's a horror game, but I played it, and I thought it was very fun.
Well, the first one did extremely well, but like I feel like Bethesda hasn't done any marketing for this game whatsoever. Like, I don't think anybody even knows it comes out on Friday. And you can tell which game they put all their marketing behind, and it's Wolfenstein. So
I think, it's a bit of a weird one for Bethesda. They had 2 big games to market this year, and they've neglected the Evil Within 2. They can't have high hopes for that game.
Yeah, it's probably not. So they got then you got South Park the week after, which I don't think Ubisoft has high hopes for. You got Wolfenstein and Assassin's Creed Origins. Did you know Ubisoft doesn't have high hopes for this new Assassin's Creed either? That's kind of news to me.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think like I've played Assassin's Creed Origins as well, and I think it could be the best in the series, or at least the best since Black Flag. And but I don't think it's. I think people are still iffy about that franchise.
Yeah, they Ubisoft themselves have said they expected to sell better than Syndicate, but worse than Unity. So
I don't get why Unity sold well when it was so bad.
Because Unity was kind of like the height of the franchise. I mean, people bought it based on the fact that it was like first co-op one, first one on next gen, but basically destroyed the thing. So, questions from Fuzzy Belvedere: should season passes be reworked, a la Halo Wars 2? Oh man, that Halo Wars 2 season pass thing is ended up being so terrible. Like I bought the Ultimate Edition, and like the fact that the Ultimate Edition, the Ultimate Edition didn't come with everything, kind of pisses me off to a certain extent.
Yeah, they've took liberties with the whole ultimate thing now.
Like that's not ultimate. If it says this is the ultimate version, I should get everything that game has to offer. They sold the the Awakening, the Nightmare. They did the same thing with Forza Horizon as well. Like Forza Horizon, the Ultimate Edition of Forza Horizon 3 didn't come with any of the expansions.
Yeah,
you just got a discount on the expansions.
Microsoft doesn't. Microsoft has destroyed the meaning of Ultimate Edition. they've got a new word for it, the Complete Edition. Now, the first time they do a Complete Edition that doesn't have completely everything, it's just going to be silly. But it's going to happen at some point, you know.
Yeah. Does Protus X wants to know, does the Xbox One X come with the game or anything? Well, there is that one retailer I saw in the UK that's coming in with like 3 games if you pre-order it, but none of the official bundles. Although I believe it does come with the Game Pass, 1 month of Game Pass. So I guess you could technically say it comes with like 100 games, but no official game. Next stock 1851 wants to know, Jez, what are your thoughts on the death of Windows phones?
Well, it's sad, but to be honest, I mean, everyone's been expecting this for at least a couple of years or more. It's nice that Microsoft finally admitted it, for God's sake, because they've just been skirting around it for months and years. You know, it's like, yeah, we put Windows Mobile on a maintenance branch on the Windows Update, but we're still supporting it. We're still supporting it, guys. And it's like, yeah, HP released a new phone that runs Windows Phone, and it's like, yeah, we still support it. Yeah, we still support it. And then randomly, the CVP of, I can't remember his exact job title. It's something like CVP of Windows development or something like that. Joe Belfiore. He just came out and said, "Oh, by the way, Windows Phone is no longer focus for us. Sorry." So like, then we published. I think we were the first outlet to publish that news, and it blew up on Reddit, front page. It was like the 3rd biggest story on Reddit at the time, because everyone loves negative Microsoft news, right?
Oh, I mean, apparently.
And, yeah. And so they finally admitted it. But, I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail about this because I think most of the people here probably don't care. But it's sad for Microsoft because it's going to hurt Windows, because computing is going mobile and Microsoft aren't in mobile at all. So, and that's also why they killed Groove, because they're not in mobile. And it's going to hurt them, you know. And Microsoft is hoping that Windows Mixed Reality is going to be the next level of the whole next thing of computing. And it's like, no, it isn't. It's not going to be. It's not going to be the next wave of computing, because Windows Mixed Reality is a bit silly right now. So.
Stu the Bassman wants to know, do we think we'll get a new game bundled in with the Project Scorpio edition, as we only pre-order the machine? No. There will not be a new game pre-order. They won't put a game in there. I don't think they will. Jazz, do you think they'll put a game in there?
Nope.
No. Let's see. Black Ice wants to know if Cuphead and Overcooked will get online co-op. Overcooked, I mean, that game's been out for a while. I doubt it. Cuphead people have said that they are going to look into possibility of putting online co-op into the game, which I think will help out the game a lot.
The issue with online co-op for Cuphead is the netcode for that game will have to be like razor sharp, because it's like it's a game that requires precision, you know. And if you've got lag, actually, I just want to address something next Doc says. Doc, the Surface Phone still might be coming, but it won't be running Windows Phone, I'll put it that way. Microsoft is still working on it, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, what were you talking about?
I don't know. What were you talking about? Cuphead online co-op.
Oh yeah, the netcode. The netcode will have to be like super good for that. But considering Microsoft is on board with it, you'd hope that Microsoft would help them.
Yeah,
achievement.
and you could finally find somebody to carry you through so you can beat the game.
I
Already har.
find it harder in co-op because the
Well, I
bosses
mean,
have more health.
they did increase the difficulty in co-op, but you can also revive people. Uh, Maka says they'll put a code for 1 million gamer score with the console. That'll sell. That'll sell some. That'd be kind
Yeah.
of funny if they did. Slugs wants to know, how does Microsoft go about releasing its games next year? They need to have a big spring, but compete against Sony's juggernaut of games. How is the X going to sell in? Well, Microsoft has a few games for early next year. Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Crackdown is what they've said, right? I would position those games outside. I don't know. Like, definitely away from any other big title for sure. Like, what if I was Microsoft? I'd be like, okay, when's Red Dead Redemption coming? Oh, it's coming out in May. We don't release anything in May. You know what I mean? Um, I, you can probably bet God of War will be coming out in March because all God of Wars come out in March. So I would avoid that. Maybe I put a game out in February. Like I think February 28th so far is just Far Cry 5. Maybe you put something out in the beginning of February, maybe State of Decay 2, but who knows if that game will be ready. I don't know. It's very tricky because all this matters, the proper release date, what competition the games have against one another. Because Sea of Thieves is a big game. Rare's invested a lot of money in this. Microsoft needs to be a success, and the release window is important. Same thing for State of Decay 2 and Crackdown. I honestly don't think all three of those are going to release before E3, by the way. I just don't see it. I see two of them releasing at most. Definitely not three.
I would honestly like for Sea of Thieves to be delayed even more than it has
To
been.
what? I mean, what would
I don't know. Fall.
To fall?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I think they need. I think they need to completely avoid the fall. If you're going to, I don't know, man. Like, if you're going to release Sea of Thieves,
well, I don't think in its current. I mean, we don't really know the full deal with Sea of Thieves. Like, we don't know what else is supposed to be in the game. We've only seen like what they've shown us, which honestly isn't that much. So, depending on what the full state of it is, I would prefer for them to just make it as good as it possibly can be, while using Crackdown's delay and State of Decay for the rest of the year. You know, and then maybe some high quality indie games like Code Vein and stuff like that. I don't know when that's coming out actually, but you got Surviving Mars as well, which is also seems to be coming to Xbox first, or is it coming to both? I can't remember. But I don't know. I think I would like Sea of Thieves to be like not a double A game. I would like it to be a triple A game as good as it possibly can be. And if any of them gets delayed to get to that level, I would prefer it to be Sea of Thieves because it's the most unique out of the bunch.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure people are racking their brains at micro. Well, number one, the game has to be finished for it to come out. So we could say, hey, State of Decay 2 should come out in February, but like the game may not be done until March or something. So you go by when it's going to be complete, and then what is around it. Like, I would avoid Red Dead Redemption 2. I would try to avoid Far Cry 5. I would try to avoid God of War. I mean,
Red Dead's gonna be good. Oh man.
well, Red Dead's is going to dominate that time. So it's like you need to strategically position your games. Maybe have one during the summer, but I just don't see all three of those releasing before E3. I just don't. Like, I think one of them comes out towards the end. And I've been saying this for a while. And I'm probably wrong on this, but I think Crackdown 3 is a full year delay. I think it's just going to come out in November of 2018. A full year. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, if Halo's not coming out next year, Jazz, they're going to need something.
I don't think State of Decay. I think if anything gets delayed, it's going to be Sea of Thieves. It's not going to be
Sea of Thieves to what, 2019?
Oh, you mean delayed out of 2018?
I'm talking about like so all those games that I mentioned, Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, and State of Decay have all said in their trailers early 2018. When I hear early 2018, I think before E3, like first half of the year.
All right. Well, I think I think some could get delayed to fall 2018. I mean, I know you're saying they don't want to put any of those games in the fall, but I think if Sea of Thieves gets up to that level, I think they could do it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Sea of Thieves need to come out in a time where there's nothing. It has this time. I don't know. I don't envy people at Microsoft who have to come up with the release dates for their projects. You know, so if Sea of Thieves is best served coming out in July or August, maybe that's the better time. Because I tell you what, it's certainly not best for that game to come out in November or October. Maybe you could get away with it coming out in early September, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's when State of Decay 2 comes out, early September, like that recourse slot. And then maybe you have Crackdown and Sea of Thieves before E3. I don't know. But
I don't think they want Crackdown and Sea of Thieves in the same place because they're both full-player co-op games.
yeah, well then, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Crackdown got a full year delay, especially if there's no Halo or Gears next holiday. What are they going to have? I mean, they can either just move Crackdown into it. I don't know.
What if they've got a new IP, man?
Ha! Microsoft with a new IP. Ha! Good joke. Good joke.
What, you think they'd never do no IP ever again?
Oh, no, I mean, I'm sure they would. I mean, big enough where they do a new IP and also release it holiday where they would get crushed by every other game that comes out. I don't know.
What if they got a big third-party exclusive like Rise of the Tomb Raider again?
I would question.
Didn't Phil say he didn't want to do that?
I mean, kind of, yeah, but they're kind of doing it with pub, so I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I think like what maybe Phil could say, like what he meant was he didn't think it was good that publishers were paying just for exclusivity and not actually contributing to development, because Microsoft are actually making PUBG for Xbox.
Well, Black Eyes says, Rand, Sea of Thieves can compete with the biggest of AAAs. It's that good. It's a streamer's dream. I mean, maybe, look, I mean, that very well could be. I don't know.
That's a good point, the whole streaming thing.
Maybe I'm underestimating the potential of Sea of Thieves. Not underestimating the potential. I think Sea of Thieves has the potential. I just think, for a new IP, like, I think you need to give it as much.
No one's going to have heard it.
Well, I think you need to give it as much help as possible. Like, it doesn't help Sea of Thieves if you launch it a week after Red Dead or the same day as Red Dead. Like, that's just hurting the game.
Yeah,
you know? So it's like you want to give that game space. You want to give it proper advertising and marketing so people know about it. I know they just invited 30,000 more people. People are going to be, it's funny. They invite so many people and do so many alpha tests for this game. By the time this game comes out, everybody's going to have played it already. And they're going to be like, well, what's new in this game? I don't know.
That's another one of my fears, that so many people have like a negative impression of it because all their play is the alpha, which is pretty limited. And
I mean, it's like a game. You think about it. It's like a game of chess. Microsoft has these games. Sony has these games. The third party has these games, and each of them are vying for the prime release dates. Whenever it doesn't, like 2K. Or Rockstar can just, doesn't matter if Sony's like, all right, we're putting Spider-Man on May 5th, right? Rockstar could just come and be like, nah, Red Dead 2 May 5th. Because like they just have the pick, because their games are just that good. Like everybody else could be trying to play chess with one another, like, okay, we'll put our game here. Our game's big enough. But like Rockstar could just come in and be like, nah, our game here. Everybody else get out of the way. And everybody else would get out of the way, But
are you saying that Red Dead is better than everything in the world?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Red Dead is going to consume all focus and attention and media and streamers and YouTubers at that point in time. There'll be nothing left for any other game. Same thing with Grand Theft Auto is way bigger, but so it's a chess battle. Where does Microsoft want to put Sea of Thieves? Where does Microsoft want to put State of Decay? Where's Sony going to put God of War and Spider-Man? Where's Ubisoft going to put, well, we already know, like where Ubisoft put Far Cry and The Crew. But, it's tough work because if you pick the wrong date, new IP, nobody buys it, done. You're screwed. See ya. sayonara. You know,
That's not very nice, friend.
I mean,
That's negative.
I'm not saying that about Sea of Thieves. I've been on record. Sea of Thieves has potential. It has a lot of potential. You know, a lot of people love that 4-player co-op stuff lately. I mean, Ghost Recon is #1 because of it. But also, it's a new IP at the same time. You just need to give it some breathing room. You don't want to just be flanked by God of War on one end and then Red Dead on another and Spider-Man on another, because people will always choose known quantities over something new and exciting. That's what when people go to restaurants. They don't try stuff new. They try stuff they know they're going to like. You know? But if you put a game at a time where there really isn't stuff else to play, people might be willing to more give a game a chance because it's like, hey, I don't have anything to play. Oh, Sea of Thieves is out. Oh, I've heard some people talking about it. Seems cool. I'm gonna buy it, or I'm gonna check it out. But anyways, yeah, this went on a little bit longer than we had planned, but that is going to be the show. Thanks so much for the questions. Jez, you have any parting words of wisdom for the folks out there?
I love you all, and I don't know. I just love you all. Thanks for being awesome.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out Jez's Twitter, which is his life. You know, he loves it. Like, it's an extension of himself. So if you block him on Twitter or don't interact with him, like, you're basically saying, Jez, you suck. So make sure you give him a follow. Check out Windows Central for all your gaming news. Or you know what? Also check out me for all your gaming news, because I also do videos as well. But if you're going to check out somebody else, you might as well check out Jez. Right, Jez?
Nah, Rand's cooler than me. Don't check me out.
No. Anyways, his link to his Twitter's in the description. As for me, I'll be doing videos the rest of the week. Haven't decided if I'm going to play Shadow War right now or wait for the X.
Wait for the X.
Wait for the X. But if you did enjoy this episode of the Xbox 2 podcast, make sure you hit that like button, as it does help out the channel tremendously. If you're new to the channel, obviously hit the subscribe button, or if you haven't already, I don't know why you're waiting for it. Subscribe to the channel for all the good stuff. Thanks to everybody who rocked out with us tonight. I think we had like 240 people at one point, so we really appreciate it. And we will be back next week, October 18th, for episode 28. Maybe talking about South Park and probably loot boxes, because I'm sure more stuff will come up about that. And yes, I want a new Bioshock 2, Jason Wilson. Please give me a new Bioshock. All right. Have a good one, guys. Later.
Take care, everybody.